do reckon there's going to be some mint. Surely not. Welcome back, guys. Today I'll be showing you the 10 best filters on EAFC. So if you're new around here and you don't know what to snipe, you're in the right place. Of course, make sure to subscribe while you're here. We've got some Christmas giveaways coming up. And of course, as usual, if you want some coins in a bit of a faster way, well, if you guys are fed up of coming against nicks like me and foot champs who use loans and OP cards from day one,
I'm getting really sick of you! Get out now!
Then you need to head over to mitchcactus.com, where not only can you buy the cheapest and most reliable FIFA coins on the EA market, you'll find over 10,000 reviews from people who have used the services and enjoyed them in the past. So make sure to head over to mitchcactus.com and use code RECALL for 5% off. So as we are back on the 10 best filters, we're going to go through a couple of the different types of quality of cards that we have to offer. Of course, there are some like the Silver Team of the Week that are essentially redundant. I don't even know why it's in the files or in the folders or whatever you want to call it. We've got Domestic Man of the Matches as well. I don't really think we've had any of them aside from maybe like one or two SBCs. Once again, redundant card, but there are a lot of cards that aren't redundant. So there's a few that we can go for and there's a few different filters we've got. Now, don't worry if you're on a lower budget end of things, you are still going to be covered. Some of these will be higher budget and some of them will be lower. Just make sure to stay tuned because you will have something for everyone. So as we are back doing the top 10 best filters, of course, we're going to go through 10 of the different qualities we have to offer. Of course, there are some qualities that are redundant, like Silver Team of the Week. And of course, you've got things like the Domestic Man of the Match. We've not had any tradable cards yet, but there are a ton where we can make an absolute load, like the FC Pro cards, the Triple Threats, the Trailblazers, Radioactive, Thunderstruck. And that is just the last 6 weeks of promos. There's an absolute ton to unpack. So we're going to start with the Thunderstruck. And don't worry, if you can't afford this method, there is going to be a few methods you can. We're going to go for all different types of budget. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, first of all, for this one, there is a very simple filter if you go over to the Premier League and go for defenders. It's one we've talked about a couple of times. You've got Ruben Diaz and you've also got Robertson. Now, if you take off the defender side of this, you can have a look. It is a much cheaper filter. We've got the likes of Matoma there. We've got Robertson. We've got Son. Of course, Son's not really going to come up on the low end. I do believe we've also got... There he is, we've got Ward-Prowse. Now, Ward-Prowse massively brings down the value of this filter. So the options that you've got essentially are, we can stick it on the just Trailblazers, and you're looking at Ward-Prowse and you're looking at Matoma in around 20 to 50k, and Matoma, it's going to be a big snipe if you get any. But then if we go for the defender route, you've got a minimum of around 100k per card. Obviously, that Ruben Diaz is quite an easy one to do a bit of sniping with, and you can make a ton of coins. Now, of course, we can head over to Gold Team of the Week, one of the qualities that has had the absolute surges and, of course, drops in this FIFA. If you have a look through, right now, they're not as high as they've been, but they are still ridiculously high for where they should be. Now, there's a few filters you can do to break these down. First of all, France goalkeeper is an interesting one. We've got the likes of Giroud, we've got Chevalier here, you can see there, and they're obviously just sat there kind of at that lower end of pricing. There are, however, some that you can take and actually get a bit of a better pricing from, and actually, that's going to take us to the Saudi League. So if we head over to the Russian Saudi League and we go for bronze, Benzema and Kante, so we've got Team of the Week, Gold Team of the Week, so we've got a 91 and an 87. Obviously, there's a big difference in price in there. Benzema is arguably a very usable card, but we have Kante here on the, I guess, lower end at 53k. Now, I do believe that 87 Team of the Weeks are a little bit lower than this in general. So he's not exactly the price of an 87 Team of the Week, but he's not far off it. So there is definitely a big room for profit, and I don't think people are going to be chopping your hand off to get this, and that's not a Saudi League reference. Now, 10% of this is obviously 5.5, so we half that to get EA tax, which is essentially just under 3,000 coins. So actually, you'd want to go to 50k for your snipe just to get a good one on this Kante card. Otherwise, you're not really making a good enough profit. So here, you're making about 2.1 or 2.2, which is a very decent value, bearing in mind it's not a difficult filter to use. We can sit there and spam out that compare price. I mean, if we want to, if we go over, let's have a look, what's the cheapest on the market? 53.5. We could just compare price this until the day ends, and eventually you're going to get a banging snipe. I do reckon there's going to be some mint. Surely not. We've not just... I mean, that's an advertisement in itself. We've just made about 20k. I mean, how much did he go for? 55. So after EA tax, okay, I lied, it wasn't 20k, but we've made 12k off one snipe. Absolutely beautiful. And that shows how good this one is. So we're going to pop that up for 54, just under the 12k mark we're making. But I mean, come on, guys. How good am I? Now for this next one, we're going to head over to the Women's French League and we're going to go for specials. With this one, you've actually got a ton to unpack. Of course, we got Gayoro, we got Bombasta, we got Hergerberger, If we scroll on further, we got Cascarano, a little bit out of the price range there. Just having a look at if there's any more on the cheaper end. I do believe you've also got Renard there. And actually, Hergerberger, for that price, is at, oh, there you go, Renard is literally at 50k, so not too far off. I mean, she is literally the cheapest you will get for a inform of her sort of stature. If we pop in play styles, I think that's just going to bring us Hergerberger. It's got Renard, Katoto as well, Gayoro, Kachui, and you do have a nice selection if you just, I mean, obviously, if we do this as an individual filter, I do think PSG, without the playstyles even, is amazing. Katoto, Gayoro. Katoto, by the way, absolutely insane in game. I packed her and will not be putting her in an SBC unless it is absolutely required. Beautiful rating for SBCs. I think she's going to end up at 92 maybe. If she's going for 80k, EA tax, realistically, you want to go for about 74. On this one, I'm not going to lie though, guys, she's just brilliant. She is just an absolute star in the game. You can't take it away from her. She's just phenomenal in game. There's just something about that card that just absolutely slaps. So make sure if you get the chance to get her in your team or on your sub bench, because she just is absolutely worth it. And I've thoroughly enjoyed playing with her, which I don't think you can say that about a lot of cards these days. Now, the other option we've got, of course, is if we go back over to the Saudi League, we do have another special option, and it is inclusive of Benzema. I can't believe that I cannot speak half the time. You're going to go to about a minimum of 70,000 coins. You're going to go Saudi League, of course, as you can see. You're going to get some pretty big players, but we want to go for forward on this one. Now, for this one, we're going to be looking at a couple guys. We're not looking at Ronaldo, who's, by the way, also incredible in game. We're not looking at Benzema's good card. We are looking at Halloween, and we are looking at Benzema. Now, I don't believe anyone else really comes up in the marks for this one, but essentially, you've got an Halloween Benzema filter. They're not miles away from each other, Benzema being around the 150 mark and Halloween pretty much being at the same place. If you go down to 140, you can't see Halloween. If we go to 160, I think that's where he starts cropping up, maybe 170. But as I say, not miles apart, very, very close to each other in the values there. And Halloween obviously used to be a staple of FIFA. He just was that guy. He is no longer that guy, and he's just that guy to make a bit of profit off. So at 150, EA tax is going to be 7.5k. So if you go to 140, you're making 3k. It's not quite enough, but you definitely want to, I mean, we saw it on Kante. I would say compare prices the way to go with this. You want to get a 135, sell it at 150, you're making about 7.5k on that. If you want to go a little bit lower, maybe 130, you're more than welcome to do so. If you're comparing price and you see a card that's going to come up for profit, I don't see why you would stick to a restraint of pricing you've already decided. Doesn't really make any sense. Now, of course, base heroes are a topic of discussion, and unfortunately, a lot of them have absolutely lost their value. If we head over to Italy, we've got two that have kind of held their value more than most, but unfortunately, it's hard to bring them close because realistically, the Marchisio to the Di Natale, I don't know how Di Natale has held such a value where every other hero has dropped. He's barely came down from the kind of million that he started on, but as you can see here, we got Marchisio really not being tapped into much at all either. So what we can do is we go over to base hero and we go for, I want to say it's going to be midfielder. I mean the main one that you can do with CDMs, realistically, let's be honest, base hero, CDM, Prem. I mean, it's very easy. You don't even have to piece it off more than that. And they're not miles apart, but yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, Marchisio and Di Natale, it was so easy to do before. It's not as easy now. The one we can do, which once again, they've just not had the moves they should, is you've got the centre-back Syria method. Of course, not had enough movement, but they should have had more. Now, we're going to have to call it a day there because I'm sick of the menus and I've actually got to go for a meeting. So make sure to drop a like down below. Subscribe if you're new. I've just given you 10 filters. Just give me 10 seconds of your time to go subscribe. Drop a like on the video. It means the absolute world. And as usual, I'll see you guys tomorrow.